Peach Bowl. This one's on Saturday, December 30th. Penn State and Ole Miss. Okay, so when I was looking at this game, I immediately thought to myself, this game kind of feels like it could be a first-round game next year in 2024. In a lot of ways, with the way that these two teams have recruited and set themselves up for next season specifically, not going to shock me if both of these teams are in the college football playoff as we expand to 12. I could see this being a matchup in the first round next year. There's no doubt. Now, Penn State is going to be favored in this one by 3.5. So the only real opt-out from the Penn State side is Chop Robinson. And that's a big one because Chop is a fantastic defensive end. But several of the other leaders on that team, including even ones that have declared for the draft already, have stated that they will play and want to finish this season the right way and all the way through. They did lose their defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz. Not going to be on the sidelines for Penn State. He took the head job at Duke. His 2 years were highly successful with that defense. That defense was one of the best defenses in America. Now, they have made a defensive coordinator hire, or at least it's expected to be Tom Allen. At the time that we record this, Tom Allen, the former head coach at Indiana, is expected to be the defensive coordinator at Penn State moving forward. He's got ties, by the way, down to Ole Miss. He was the linebacker coach at Ole Miss about a decade ago. This is a really good defense, even without Chop Robinson. They were number 1 in total yards allowed. They were number 1 in yards per play allowed. They were number 3 in scoring defense. They were number 1 in sacks per game at almost 4 per game. Like, this is a really good team. A really good team on that side of the ball. And what we know is that they just struggled on offense. Penn State struggled on the offensive side. Now, they have made a change with their offensive coordinator, and they'll have a new offensive coordinator next season. And I really like Andy Licknicki. Man, pronunciations are not my strong suit, in particular early in the morning when we're recording this. He came from Kansas. That Kansas offense was one that was, what's the word I'm trying to find? I mean, it was the envy of a lot of people in college football. Kansas had done a remarkable job over the last couple of years, and Lance Leipold got a lot of the credit, but offensively, they did some really special things. So Penn State's going to dip into that Kansas offense for their new offensive coordinator. A win would give Franklin his 5th season with 11 wins in his 10-year tenure. Ole Miss, by the way, has never won 11 games in program history. So a lot on the line for the Lane train, as Lane Kiffin has had a hot portal season. No one's doing a better job in the portal than Lane Kiffin. And Penn State, they're a team that, as 0-4 against Michigan and Ohio State the last 2 years, is 21-0 against everybody else. So, again, I love this. And Kiffin has built his team through portal and recruiting to be really good next year. James Franklin had one of the best sophomore classes in America this last year on his team. They're still going to be there. This, again, could be a playoff game next year. Ole Miss is interesting. They won 10 games, but they lost by 14 to Bama. The week after Bama almost lost to South Florida. That was before Bama really got rolling. They got beat by 35 at Georgia in November. They were 4-0 in one-score games. There's a lot to like about what Lane did at Ole Miss, and then, that Georgia game is just a bit alarming. Quinshon Judkins, he didn't rush for the 1,500 yards that he did as a freshman, but he did get better as the season went along as he got more healthy. And I think that was the big thing for him. He had 100 yards in 5 of his last 8 games. That's going to help them. And Lane wants to run the ball as much as he likes to throw it around. He wants to and needs to run the ball. Jackson Dart now has a couple of seasons starting under Kiffin. He is coming back for his senior year. That's great for them. They look like a team that, at least on paper, with what they did in the portal, being one of, if not the best recruiting class out of the portal. They've done a nice job in NIL. They've done a nice job with their collective. Obviously, Lane is a very good coach. They could be a trendy pick next year in the SEC to finish in that, second, third, fourth realm, which would certainly make them kind of a playoff caliber team. This is, like I said, a game that I think that we could see next year. Penn State is favored by 3.5. I'm going to go with Penn State because that defense, I think, is going to do a nice job against Judkins. But I think that could be a close game.
Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.